where Janna from, and he asked her uncle Basil, how long have you been guys there? Well, Basil told him way back, the elder used to sit under the cherry tree, and I remember them saying that Adam passed by and asked them, have they seen Eve? One more joke by the United Nations, I mean the Palestinian representative of the United Nations, who was trying to start his speech, and he said, let me talk about Moses. My name is Musa, which is Moses. And he said, let me talk about Moses. When Moses got to Sinai, he hit the rock and water came out. He said, well, I want to take a shower. It's sunny out and all of that. He took his clothes off and he put them on the side of the rock and he took the shower. After that, he went back trying to get his clothes, and the clothes were gone. And guess what? There was an Israelite who took them. Now the Israeli ambassador of the United Nations jumped and said, what's this nonsense? We were nothing existent back then. He said, that's enough. That's what I'm looking for. And you want anything in Arabic? Come if you understand Arabic. Back then, and when they start doing those shopping centers and malls, people from the Middle East who have the money used to come in. There was a middle-aged man with his wife wearing her robe and all of that. They got into one of these fantastic, that's the Pentagon City Mall. And they walked in and they got face to face with the escalator. It was newly built. And he looked at that, it's very strange, something walking up. He asked somebody, what's this? He said, that's if you put your wife, middle-aged wife, out on this escalator, she would be transformed and will become a beauty queen. You go to the other side and you will meet her. Well, he said, go ahead, Su'ad, get up. Su'ad got up on the escalator and he moved to the other side. While he's standing beneath the other side, he is looking at a young lady came in shorts and beautiful hair, blonde hair, and blue eyes, and he's staring at her, eye to eye, and he can't believe what's going on. The young lady was stunned. Then he called her, Su'ad. The young lady said, what? He said, OMG, and language too. I was the first to come on defense of Dr. Ford while the grabber appointed the sexual harasser to the Supreme Court to join Clarence Thomas. So we're going to have a grabber in the White House, two sexual harassers in the Supreme Court, and we may get a child molester, Roy Moore, coming out of Alabama to be one of the 100 people who will dictate our present and our future laws. So I looked at Lindsey Graham, who couldn't even defend his best friend while he's dead, and the guy who was talking about those four congresswomen, and he was against the hero of this country. The hero who is McCain, his dad and granddad, saved the country. While this knucklehead ran away from the draft and he thinks he's fit for the presidency. He's attacking the four women. He didn't attack the best man of this country. From George Walker Bush to Jimmy Carter to John McCain. You can tell what's going on. And so I came to the rescue of Dr. Ford after seeing Jeff Flake standing in the elevator of the Senate building and promising a group of ladies, I'm going to give her a fair ride. I'm going to give her a fair chance. And Lindsey Graham said the same thing. They didn't even talk to his roommate. They didn't even talk to his roommate. And it was a fake scenario. So I said to myself, what you did to Dr. Ford was injustice and a fraud. All women should be alert known, and the next election it should be shown. Lindsey Graham, you are a scam. I thought you are a kilo, you should have milligram. Jeff Flake, you are fake. You acted when you hit the brake and you melted like a snowflake. I saw him walking her upstairs, downstairs, one beer, I don't know where. I remembered he was there. I did not grab her, I did not pay her, but Cohen was there and Mueller has the detail. All those lawyers who get the sexual harassment out of their den, one of them is already indicted. His name is Cohen. The other one is in the White House right now. Her name is Kelly Kane Kiteway. Carrie Kane Cutler. Oh, I'm getting the name wrong? Oh my God, doesn't she have 3 K's in her name? Oh, that's her abbreviation. Oh, she's doing the KKK like her boss. The next one is Rudy Giuliani. On Fox News, he was asked when the president is going to meet Mueller. Well, he told him, over my dead body. Over my dead body. I looked at this and said, oh my God. Rudy, where did you learn this? What law school taught you this? Oh, hello, yes? Oh, down at the Trump Tower? With the Trump, Cohen, Putin, on closed-circuit TV, in room 181? Oh, I get another call, hold it. Yes? Breaking news, what breaking news? Oh, Rudy Giuliani is a graduate of Trump University? I see that, then he's a trumpet. And if the head of the household is a drummer, then the rest of the family are belly dancers. In Arabic we said, إذا كان رب البيت للدف ضاربا فشيمة أهل البيت كلهم الرقص. So he is a trumpet. A trumpet is a nice word. I'm going to quote that. Yes, who's this? Webster Dictionary? Yes, you want trumpet? As you want to review for Webster Dictionary? I would be more than happy to sign that for you. Oh, hold it, I have another call. Can you hold a minute? Yes, who's this? Oh, Google Engine, Google, yes. You want trumpet for your Google Engine? Don't you have enough? I know when you have idiot, when you type idiot in your Google Engine, you will find Trump. You want more? Oh, just a minute, I have to define the word then. I have to define the word. Yes, what's the dictionary? What do you want the definition for trumpet? Trumpet, if you type trumpet, you're going to find Trump, you're going to find Giuliani, you're going to find Boris Johnson, you're going to find Mohammed bin Salman, and you're going to find Benjamin Netanyahu. They will all show up under Trump. Next we will be talking about DJ Session. Hopefully we will not have a recession. But DJ Session was the first DJ. I'm sorry DJ Khaled, I'm not going to put him with you on the same boat. Even though he was the first DJ to come up with the grabber and put the red hat up. And what was it in that red hat? Make America racist again, yeah. The DJ Session episode did not develop because DJ Session left. I have something else for him later on. I hope they are coming. Can I continue? Do you want me to continue, guys? Yeah. You sure? I don't see you laughing. What's going on here? What's going on here? Let me see what's going on. Can I have some?
I think they're having. I don't know. I think they're out of luck. I think they're joking. I don't. Wait, didn't you order it before anybody was even in here? And then, you know what? I just thought about that because I saw somebody.
Guys, my name is Musa Salah. I have my YouTube channel. I do have my Instagram and Facebook. I'm new to comedy. This is my 6th month. But I'm going to be devoted to it. I will be on a trip to Palestine and Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and Ramallah. I'll be performing in Arabic and some a little bit in English. I do have Arabic stuff. It's very hard for you to understand, but it's funny. But you know, I have this skill for it.
What was your name again?
Huh?
What was your name again?
I'm O-U-S-A, Musa, which is Moses. Musa.
Musa?
Yes.
Your last name?
Salah. The last name of Mo Salah, the soccer player. Yeah, that's the same last name. Maybe you are related. I don't know. My dad used to run around a lot.
I got you.
Not far away. I'm from the city of Bethlehem, which is a very special town. I'll tell you one thing. I did something on the There was a survey in America on 2016, and that says there is 16 million Americans believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cow. And that's explained why this grabber in the White House. And we need to, I'm telling you, he doesn't understand where we are going. The deficit is going up to the ceiling. We already lost the soybean industry to Brazil. We are gone because our soybean in the warehouses and the fridge, we couldn't sell it. So we're going to lose the farming, the soybean farming. He gave $1 million to the farmers for nothing from your tax dollars. And he's now running after the girls who are saying it's about the Benjamin, where he gives $20 million a year to Israel, and he cut the refugee aid of $150 million. And he's now building a Trump heights in the Golan Heights. And my mama in Jerusalem called me and said, Mama, they are changing the street in front of our house to Trump Boulevard. And she's 9 years old. What do you want me to tell her? I get a gun and start fighting? I have to calm her down a little bit. I said, Mama, I used to see a Trump name on buildings in Atlantic City and Puerto Rico. And I know that it went down in the dump. So that's an incentive for us to remember that we have to bring that down and put it in the dump too. I'm done? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. So we finally have our guest of honor. Hi, everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming. And I'd like to thank American Muslims for Palestine for co-sponsoring this event, Nadia Amir from South Africa, and her organization, which you can speak about at the end, for bringing Janna here to Washington, D.C. I met Janna for the first time in 2015, I believe it was. Oh, wow. I was traveling through the West Bank with my two children, who are now 16 and 18. At the time, they were 12 and 14, and I think Janna was investigated around 8 or 9. And I saw this young girl, shorter than my daughter, with a phone in her hand, in front of the soldiers, bravely there, in beautiful, perfect English. And I just thought, oh my God. First of all, what heartbreak that the children have to take this on, this struggle, and what grace and incredibleness that children are leading this struggle, that Palestinian children are leading the struggle on the ground in Palestine for freedom and equality. As many of you know, Janna is the youngest accredited journalist in the entire world. She got accreditation when she was 12, and I'm sure she'll tell us more about that. And I'm not going to go into too much more of her story because she's only been circling this earth for 13 years, and yet she has accomplished so much, but I'm going to let her tell it for you. We're going to do this as beginning with it really just being a conversation between Janna and I rather than a speech, and then we will and then we'll open it up for questions from the audience. And we're just going to start off real quick. If we can play, we have a little video of Janna, kind of a compilation of Janna from the age of 7 when she began documenting as a journalist in her village of Nabi Saleh through today.
It was when I was 7 years old when I saw that there's not enough journalists to cover things that happens in my village in Saleh in Palestine. Like, for example, my friends had been killed, my uncle had been killed. A lot of things was happening in the world that our communities are still moving under occupation. So I wanted to cover everything that happens with us as Palestinian children living under occupation, and to just send our message and speak for all the children who are suffering jail. Was just hiding in the garage, and then when the children just noticed it, they went up and they hide under the wall. I'm here sending our message to the world, saying that we will never give up. Here, as you can see, Israel occupation soldiers were just raiding the village and shooting a lot of gas canisters, a lot of live bullets, because they want to scare the children. From here, we're sending the message of us. We're saying to them, we're staying here in our land. Palestine is Palestine as much as you did. From here, we're saying to the whole world, Palestine is Palestine.
We're waiting for Osama. He's coming out of jail right now. He was arrested for 9/11.
Here we see Osama.
Alhamdulillah, salamatkum. Alhamdulillah, salamat.
From here, as you can see, those terrorist people, humans with no humanity, are coming to our land, trying to kill children and to make children get injured. From here, we're sending our message and saying that Palestine will be free. I'm many Sadiq to the Jihad, occupy Palestine.
We finally arrived here to this holy land, to Jerusalem. Right now we are in the Masjid al-Aqsa in the Dome of the Rock. We are right here coming to pray in Ramadan. This day we came and it was super hard, just crossing a lot of checkpoints after checkpoints after checkpoints, after a lot of giving our IDs and stuff, after a lot of troubles. And in this really hot weather, we came here to our capital, to Jerusalem, to visit it, I didn't visit it from 5 years ago, and it's really amazing to come here and see that much of people and to come and pray here. And we wish that this land will stay for us, and we will make this mosque and every single church and every single inch of this land in Palestine and in Jerusalem ours. It's going to be free, and we're coming here to pray and say to God that we want to always resist.
I just want to say, Janna, wow.
Those are super old videos, bro. It's just
So do you want to move in a little closer I know some folks are filming. Great. So how about we start off with you just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So my name is Jihad. I'm 13 years older now. I
I live in Palestine, also in a village called Nimsada in Palestine, and I'm the youngest registered press card carrying journalist in the world. I started journalism when I was 7 years old, when I realized that there were not enough journalists to cover things that happens in Nimsada. Like when my friend Mustafa was killed, my uncle Rushdie was killed, a lot of things were happening in the world. Didn't know about how we as children are feeling, how we are suffering every single day. So I wanted to be the voice of those children and send their message to the world and just raise awareness about this very important and international issue. Yeah.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about those deaths.
Yeah, sure. So during my lifetime, I saw 3 people getting killed in front of me. The first one was my friend Mustafa, which was in 2011. It was like pretty hard. And what happened was I was only about 5 years old, and me, Ahd, and a lot of our friends were just like in the mountain collecting some flowers. It was like spring, and it was like that time of Friday after the demonstration. Everything was like quiet and nothing was happening. And after that, we heard somebody screaming that there was somebody that just got injured in something. So we just ran down the mountain and just like saw Mustafa with this tear gas that came in his face and broke his skull. We saw his blood on the street and basically just blood everywhere. It was like one of the most traumatizing images that I cannot forget. And we saw him taking his last breath, and it was pretty hard. The second one was my uncle. It was 2012. So Mustafa was 2011. My uncle was 2012, and it was not a Friday. He was just sitting, and then he got shot. And after that, after 2 days in the hospital, he died. And the third one was my friend Az, which was 1 year ago in June 6th, 2018. It was one of the hardest moments in my life. I literally remember everything. And what happened was, it was like basically summer holidays. So our parents and everyone was like at work, and it was like only us children who were in the houses. And I was having a sleepover in my house with my friends, and it was me, Janna, and Samad. And we were just like, it was pretty early to wake up. It was like only 8 a.m. in the morning. And then I just woke up on like screaming, like I don't know, people screaming from outside. In the same moment, I just looked out of my room's window. My cousin and friend Az was just right in front of the window, and there were no one was like throwing rocks. It was nothing. It was just a really calm morning. And then he was just standing right in front of my window. And in the same moment, I just looked. I heard 2 shots. 2 bullets like getting shot. One came in his neck and one came in his chest right in front of us. And then we went and tried to save him, at least try to call the ambulance, try to do anything. And then at the same time, we were trying to go and just help him at least and see what happened. The soldiers just came running. It was like, I think it was like tens. A lot of soldiers were just like running. And then they started shooting at us live munitions, and they started also like shooting tear gas, and it was like pretty hard, just like live munitions were just like coming right under our hands and arms and everything. It was so hard. And then they surrounded Az while he was laying on the floor with this blood all over the floor, and then they started beating him up and just like hitting him with their feet. And we were just, I was crying, and I was also on live video, and I was calling my mom. It was like so pretty, it was pretty confusing. It was so hard for us. And then after that, they left him bleeding on the floor for 30 minutes. Whenever we wanted to go and see what's happening, they would start shooting at us. And then after that, they arrested his body, which basically was dead. And after a couple of hours, he was dead, basically. And it was pretty hard for us and really traumatizing. A lot of my friends got traumatized. For example, they always would dream about him. Whenever we would just mention his name, they would always cry. It was like pretty hard for us because he was that type of person where we would always play with and just hang out with, and losing him was pretty hard for us.
Wow, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that, and that you continue to have to go through that. What was it like the first time that you held the camera as a journalist? I know you get, and we saw in the films, and I've seen it personally, really close to the soldiers. And how is that? Are you afraid? What gives you strength?
So the first time I made a report, it was 6 years ago. So it was when I was only 7 years old. I was in a demonstration on a normal Friday, and I took my mother's phone and was reporting. And after a couple of months, I think she just saw like about 5 or 6 reports, and then she posted them on her Facebook page, and then that's how I started. And also, yeah, we get scared because like we're basically humans, we're normal children, and we're always, we feel scared and always afraid. But as a Palestinian child, as Palestinian children, we have to control our fears and not let our fears control us. Because if our fears control us, we're not gonna live. We can't resist. We can't, we can't reach our goal, which is basically liberating Palestine.
I remember the first time that I met you and your mother, and I was talking to your mother, and I said, "Oh my God, she's so fearless." So she and Ahad, they're so fearless, just right up there with the soldiers filming. And your mother, Nawal, said to me, "She's not fearless, she's terrified."
Yeah.
She said, and this is when you were 8 or 9, she said, she wakes up in the middle of the night screaming. She has night terrors. And journalism has become for her a sense of security and safety, and given her an outlet to be strong despite these fears. So I wonder, as you're filming, does the audience, the world, much of the world, because you have an enormous audience, does their participation in watching give you any strength and help you and your entire village to feel less alone?
Of course, basically, it gives me more strength to continue, and seeing a lot of people just getting educated about our issue because of my reports just makes me happy. I'm not happy because I'm reporting, because during that time I'm reporting, I have to be playing like any other child around this world. But I'm happy that we're able to raise awareness about this very important and international issue. And it's it makes me so happy and so proud that a lot of people are knowing more, and a lot of people are coming to Palestine and coming to our demonstrations and stuff, and it's so amazing.
It's really incredible. Now, your village is a little bit unique. There are a number of villages in the West Bank that have weekly demonstrations, but Nabi Saleh is known for children's demonstrations, for being largely youth and women-led. Is there a story behind that, or how did the demonstrations in your village in particular begin?
So the demonstrations in my village started in 2009. Basically my village was occupied since 1967, and in 1976, the settlement of Hanish was built on the land of Nabi Saleh, and after that they were trying to steal more lands, and it reached that point where we were just like, why aren't we doing anything about it? And then we started demonstrating when I was only 3 years old in 2009. And, our demonstrations are not only children, they're men, women, The difference it's different and unique because in a lot of other villages, women cannot go out. But in Nabi Saleh, we believe that, the women are half of society, and they raise the other half, and behind every strong man a woman, and behind every strong woman herself. So for this very important part of society not cooperating in our demonstration, we would lose a lot of stuff. So it was amazing, and it was we accomplished a lot of stuff. We didn't there were a lot of houses that were gonna get demolished where we stood up for that, and it didn't get demolished. A lot of children were gonna get arrested that they didn't get arrested because of us trying to help them, and it was pretty amazing because it's just basically a role model, and it's something to just look at and see how amazing it is. But of course, demonstrations are very hard because a lot of people get killed and injured and arrested in them, and yeah.
So I believe there's around 300 people in your village?
550.
550.
Yeah.
Of that,
Not a lot.
around how many children have been arrested in your village?
I don't really know the number of children who got arrested, but there are 400 people from the village, like in the village, who got arrested. Like some of them are from the village, some of them from the activists that come to the village, and also 400 people got injured. And yeah.
Do you do anything to help prepare the children for arrest? I know that you do, but I'm wondering if you could tell us a bit about that, because and a bit about what the interrogation process is like and why it's so important for, not just for children, but for children in particular, to be prepared to be separated from their family and community and for what happens.
So for us as children, we always play a game with each other. It's called Jihad, which is Israeli soldiers and Arabs. So in that game, there's like that group of us, which are the Israeli soldiers and the Arabs. So during interrogation, we always remain silent. And it's our right. So it's basically one of like the games that we play, and it's a bit educational because it helps us during interrogation to remain silent and to not give any information. And it was last 2 years ago, I believe, 2017. It was the first time we made kind of like a workshop, but it's, I don't know, we collected, us children gathered, and there were lawyers and stuff that we made, kind of like we got educated more about how interrogation is and how we learned about our rights during this interrogation, during that arrest, and how what we need to do while we're interrogated, while we're in jail, because during that time there were 23 children from the village and 23 youth from the village who were arrested, and it was pretty hard. And actually, it was so nice because after that, my friend, he was 13 years old and he got arrested. And, it was like he didn't do anything and everything. He came back from the jail and he was like, oh my God, everything worked. And the stuff we learned, you need to do that and stuff. And of course, arrest for children is pretty hard because in the Israeli military law, it says if you're a Palestinian child, 12 years old or up, you can get arrested, interrogated, treated like a criminal just because of you trying to defend your land, your mom, your family, yourself, your house. And during that arrest, it's pretty hard. You get subjected to a lot of stuff. For example, just imagine you getting arrested at 3 a.m. in the morning on the night raids with that weapon, with that soldier with that huge weapon, waking you up with it and just telling you if we didn't arrest you, we're gonna kill you or kill your family. During that arrest, we get interrogated, and during our way to the interrogation center, we get long-term handcuffed, we get blindfolded, we get beaten up, and during the interrogation, it's pretty so hard because that interrogation session can continue to a couple of weeks, a couple of months. And you only have one meal a day, 11 hours of interrogation with no breaks. You cannot go to the restroom. And you get subjected to solitary confinement. And, a lot of children, they also get subjected to just physical violence. And, also, some children get out with mental or psychological issues, with them getting traumatized. It is pretty hard, especially for the children under 18, and there are a lot of rights that are getting violated during that arrest. For example, if in the international law, if you're just a child under 18, you got interrogated, you need to have either a lawyer or one of your parents coming with you during that interrogation. But for us as Palestinian children, we cannot have any of them, and it's pretty hard for us.
So Nabi Saleh is famous for probably the most famous arrest of a Palestinian child, Ahad Tamimi, who I know a lot of you are familiar with, and is Janna's first cousin. Can you tell us about what happened that Ahad got arrested?
So what happened with Ahad, Ahad is my she's not my cousin, it's complicated. Look, her grandma and my grandma are sister, and her grandpa and my grandpa are brothers. So, it's we're cousins, we're not
definitely related.
Yeah, we're related, and we're also really good and close friends. So, when she got arrested in December 2017, and it was after so the soldiers they just shot a kid. He didn't get killed, but he lost 1/3 of his skull, and it was pretty hard. And then after that, the same soldiers just came back to her house. Her house is on the top of the mountain, so it's in a pretty high area. And they came to the entrance of her house, and they wanted to go into her house because it's in a high area. And they wanted to just like shoot at children who were playing around the house and stuff, so they can see the whole area. So they were trying to go in, and they were pushing her, and then she pushed them back, and then she slapped them. But the world just concentrated on the slap. They didn't see what happened before, which was Muhammad Tamimi, which is our cousin who got shot in the head, as I said. So he was playing, and that whole thing that happened, it was right after Trump's declaration that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. And after that, we had a lot of stuff happening in the West Bank, and soldiers were just like raiding the village. They were in the village for a couple of days at the moment, and they were just shooting gas canisters literally randomly everywhere, and no one was like, it wasn't a clash, but it was a raid, and they were just shooting for no reason. And then Muhammad and a couple of our friends were playing, and then the shooting just stopped suddenly, and he thought that someone got arrested or someone got injured. So he was right next to that wall, and it had a ladder, and he just climbed the wall and wanted to see if someone got arrested or where the soldiers were. And after that, the soldiers were right under that wall, and they shot him with a rubber bullet that came right here. It was stuck in his brain. And after that, he was in a coma for 7 days, and it was pretty hard. He lost 1/3 of his skull, and his brain was only covered with skin. And although he got arrested 3 times after his injury, one of the times was when he was still treated, like he was like still in that treatment, and he was needing like medicine and stuff. And after that, he got arrested, and they forced him to sign a paper that said he didn't get arrested, but he lost 1/4 of his skull because of him falling from a bicycle. And it was pretty weird. And, after that, he was arrested for the second time, which was he got kidnapped. And from the village, it was in Ramadan after Iftar, and he was just walking, and then they were the Israeli soldiers pretended to be Palestinians, and they were in a Palestinian registered car, and they just came in and basically kidnapped him. They didn't inform his parents for the whole day, and it was pretty hard for us. He's that type of person who just like goes out and stays with us, and his parents were calling us at 3 a.m. saying, "Did you see Muhammad? Is Muhammad with you or anything?" And we were like, "No," and we were all worried. And after that whole day, we got informed that he was arrested. And the third time, actually, he got treated in South Africa in October, this year, 2018. And after his treatment, he came back to Palestine, and he got arrested. And they showed him pictures of him throwing stones, and they said, they gave him the dates, and they said, okay, you were throwing stones, you were in an illegal demonstration during that time. And during that time, he was in South Africa. So it showed how it's like we showed them his passport and stuff, and it was just all a lie. And that's pretty much is what happened.
So, So remind me how long Ahad was in prison for.
She was arrested for 8 months, and she was only 16 years old. She turned 17 in the jail.
So what was it like for you? I know that along with being your cousin, she's also your best friend.
Yeah.
What was it like for you to have her gone, and was that the first person that close to you that went missing overnight?
It wasn't the first person super close to me that got arrested. I swear about 95% of my really close friends got arrested. And Ahad was one of them, and she's like my best friend. So it was super hard for me, for 8 months. I couldn't speak to her, anything. If I had any problem, it would be Ahad, the first one who I'd call and just tell everything. And it was pretty hard not finding her by my side during that time. And after that, it was like the hardest, one of the hardest situations that I faced during that time, and I just hated it.
What was it like when Ahmed got out? And, this really catapulted Nabi Saleh to a world stage. He had already had world attention, but what was it like having that much attention on the village as well, including when she was released?
When Ahmed got released, I was in France. So it was so sad, bro. Just like she got arrested and I didn't see her. Even like I didn't see her for not only 8 months, but for an additional month. And it was so freaking bad. And I was just like calling and crying from Paris, and it was the hardest thing ever. And then, she was calling, oh my God, Janna, where are you? And then, she didn't know that I cut my hair, and then she hated me. Yeah.
So along with violence at demonstrations and arrest, I know there's other places for interrogation, so if you could tell us what preceded and how you ended up getting accreditation as a journalist.
So after I got arrested, there were a lot of media that were coming to the village and stuff. I was interviewed in addition to my normal reports. So after that, the Israeli Ministry of Strategic Affairs, they made a secret report about me saying that I'm the next threat on their state, just because of me trying to cover whatever was happening and to be the voice of the Palestinian children. And after that, it was like right after me being stopped while coming back from Jordan while I was only 12 years old and 4 days and was stopped for 3 hours and interrogated. And, after that, the Israeli 4th news channel revealed that report, and I got a lot of threats, intimidations by the Israeli street, which, just imagine yourself getting those messages on Facebook that are saying, oh, here's your house, here's your school, here's your way to school, we can arrest you, we can kill you, and it was pretty traumatizing and pretty scary, and yeah.
I remember at the time.
And after that, I got registered.
I remember at the time of the arrest that there was a prominent Israeli journalist who called for Ahed to be, basically called for her to be raped, said
Yeah.
it made things happen in the dark to her. So I imagine very similar and, an extreme amount of hate. So you revealed something the other day, which I'm going to ask you about, because we've been talking about your career as a journalist, and when it started and how you got accredited, but you revealed the other day that you have other career aspirations as well as you move forward in your education. So I was wondering if you would just tell us a little bit about that.
There are a lot of stuff, bro. One of them is I play soccer. What do? I do a lot of stuff. I love reading books. I'm interested in religions. I'm interested in history. But I don't like history classes, but I'm just interested in history stuff. Nobody likes school or anything like that's related to school, so it's like the other side. And what do you mean? I got.
You were saying what you'd maybe like to major in when you go to university.
Oh yeah. Okay, so in university, of course, I may be a journalist in the future, or maybe Palestine would be free. Hopefully, Palestine will be free. And during university, I'm gonna study two stuff. So my major is gonna be political science, and my minor is gonna be gender studies. So, yeah.
I know you've spent a lot of time in South Africa, and Nadia's had you there.
For the past 2 summers.
Yeah, can you talk about your time there and connections that you draw between the past South African struggle to end apartheid and the continued struggle there for equality and the struggle for free Palestine?
Of course. So for the past 2 summers, I was on a speaking tour in South Africa. So of course, we know South Africa was under apartheid, and Palestine is very related to that because we're also under apartheid, under colonization, occupation, which is basically the Israeli occupation. And we're facing kind of like the same stuff. We're facing a lot of people getting killed for no reason, a lot of people getting arrested and injured. And of course, also the South African Nelson Mandela was one of the greatest supporters of the Palestinian struggle. He also said that South Africa would never be free unless Palestine is free. And of course, we love him and everything. And I went for a speaking tour. We also we have that initiative called Shamsan, which was made 3 years ago. 3 years ago. And it's basically to just create a platform for the Palestinian children to send their messages and stories to the world in general. And we made that, and we interviewed about 300 chose 13 child from them, and made a calendar, and which has a picture of the child and his story or her story. And I was a part of it, and then I became the ambassador of Shamsan. And we always make a lot of campaigns. Last year we had the child prisoner campaign, Miranda rights and everything. We made that move, a lot of campaigns. We have, we always try to support children who get injured and cannot go to hospitals and stuff. And this year our main campaign is the educational fund. So during my birthday, I received a lot of people telling me, oh, can we send you gifts and stuff? And instead of all of that, I decided to make an educational fund, which is basically to help the Palestinian children get educated, because a lot of the children in Gaza are under siege and they cannot go out, they cannot go to universities, maybe they cannot afford it. A lot of children in the West Bank, they face a lot of checkpoints, so we always try to help them. And yeah, that's the main campaign this year.
So this being your first tour of the U.S., I know that you have got to have a lot of incredible meetings, including with Mark Lamont Hill, and a number of meetings on the Hill in Congress. And I'm wondering, I know you met with Representative Rashida Tlaib, and I know you met
with her yet, but I met with her
office.
Yeah, with her office, and we're meeting her in Detroit.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, any impressions that you have walking around U.S. Congress, having those meetings? I know some of them were less friendly of meetings, offices that are a little less pro-Palestinian rights than Representative Tlaib.
So we met with a lot of offices, not a lot, but we met, I don't know the exact number, but we met with a couple of offices. And I spoke about the Palestinian children and how we're living under this Israeli military occupation. And it's very important because, right now we have the Betty McCollum's bill, No Way to Treat a Child, HR 2407, which we need a lot of support for that, which is very important because children, they're not supposed to be detained, they're not supposed to be arrested, but they're supposed to be living their childhood. So I guess you guys can also support it by calling or emailing your representatives and asking them to who has sponsored that bill, because it's very important and we need it to be a new law, because America doesn't have to fund arresting children, and it's very it's basically injustice, and it's basically super bad for us children. Imagine 12 years old and getting arrested. Even that law, that illegal law which says that a 12 years old child can get arrested, they usually break it. For example, last year my 11 years old cousin Sam, he got arrested, and what the hell?
So we also have another piece of legislation that I've been telling Janna about that just got introduced while she was here with Representative Tlaib as well, but sponsored by Ilhan Omar, and it is a resolution to protect our right to boycott Israel for Palestinian rights, and that's HRES 496. So please also, if you're not a DC resident and you have a representative, please tell them to co-sponsor that with Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Representative John Lewis. So I have just one more question for you, Janna, and then well, then we're going to open it up. I'm going to let some other folks have a chance and not monopolize all of your time. So the other new thing that I learned about you during your time here that I hadn't known before is that you were actually born in the United States, in the same town in Florida that I went to elementary school, but that you have U.S. citizenship. That's you can
Palestinian.
You can carry a U.S. passport. So that's what I want to ask you about. this would be a way, let's say, to get out, right? To not live under fear of arrest constantly and to have your childhood. So what is it? Can you speak about what keeps you there? Why you stay in Palestine?
Okay. So basically, I have an American passport. I was born in Gainesville, in Florida, and also but I didn't live in America. Basically, I was 3 months old when I came back. I only came back here to West Palm Beach for kindergarten, and I just came back to Palestine. So I lived my whole life in Palestine. So I'm Palestinian, not American. Yeah.
Not American.
Not American. Yeah. So actually, I also have a Palestinian passport because both of my parents are Palestinian. And I stay there because I have a Palestinian passport, Palestinian ID, and everything. But it's easier for me to go out of the country because I have an American passport. But it doesn't prevent them from me getting arrested, interrogated, or any other thing. Like I can't go to Jerusalem, I can't go to the 48 occupied Palestine or anything because I have a Palestinian passport. But it only helps me while traveling outside of Palestine and stuff because it's very hard for us as Palestinians with only a Palestinian passport to get out of the country because, getting a visa is super hard, especially to America. So.
I know that your mom is not able to get a visa to come here, and that Ahed and her family have not been able to get a visa to come here, and that Ahed's father's visa was actually revoked by the U.S. State Department a few years ago. So we're going to open it up for questions now, and I don't see if we have the portable mic maybe over there. Great. Maybe Ty or Medea, if you could help bring the mic around, or any of our crew, and let's go ahead and take some questions.
Is it working?
Now, well, hold on.
What question?
How about there now?
Can you hear me now?
Mic-wise, but...
No, microphone. Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
It is on. Well,
Just turn it on.
That's okay, just...
my name is Janna. All right?
It's not working.
No more. All right, my name is Janna Saman. I'm from the city of Ramallah next to you.
Oh, what's
And I am well aware of your
what's the name of the city?
Ramallah. I'm from the city of Ramallah.
Oh, yeah.
I know the exact location where you have these issues. One thing you missed is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon during your school hours, they stage themselves in the mountains so that they harass you on purpose.
Well, basically what happens for us, my school's like in Ramallah,
Yes.
so it's right next to the DCO,
Yes.
so it's right next to a clash point, which we cannot open the windows because we don't want to smell tear gas. But in a lot of other schools, those schools get raided and children get arrested from their schools. So that's one of the issues for us children.
Well, I've seen quite a bit of these issues. I happen to have an issue myself with no reasons, even on the bus where I had a gun stuck right to my throat between Jerusalem and Bethlehem on a checkpoint. And on a couple occasions where I've had even a gun stuck right to my head. And by the way, as an American citizen, it doesn't mean nothing to you over there.
Exactly, no.
And I went to the American consulate by the name Mr. Griffith, who was the vice consul in there, and he simply tells me, we just put your name on paper and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So having an American passport is useless and not even being recognized as long as you're a Palestinian.
So along those lines, what's it like sometimes to get to school? What might an average day going to school be like?
So, it's hard, So for the most simple thing for a normal child around this world is to go to their schools, but for us it's a struggle for us students. So for me, I wake up, go to my school. I face a lot of checkpoints. I face 3 checkpoints. And the Israeli checkpoints in the OPT is basically not normal checkpoints, but they're basically barriers. And they just block the street. You cannot get in. So instead of me reaching my school in about 25 to 30 minutes, I have to go to another way that takes me about 2 hours and a half to 3 hours to reach my school. And it's not only me as a student who suffered, but also a lot of people. For example, my grandma, she started doing kidney dialysis 2 years ago from how much gas she used to inhale, and then she has to go to the hospital 3 days a week to make the kidney dialysis thing, and then she has, like, sometimes she cannot go because of those checkpoints. Also, a lot of pregnant women give birth to their children in the car on those checkpoints. A lot of patients cannot go to the hospital. A lot of workers cannot go to their works, and yeah, it's pretty hard for us to reach the place that we need to be at the exact time. So.
I recall that roundabout road, and it has a lot of rocks on it. It's very bumpy and unpleasant in many hours.
Yeah, and sometimes that road is even closed. So you're in the area, you're in the zone, cannot get out of it.
Other questions?
Hi, Janna. يعطيك العافية. I had the opportunity to work in Palestine for the last 2 years, and I passed your village every day before realizing that was Nabi Saleh. And so I was working in Deir Hassana.
What?
I know I always mispronounce it. So I was working for the Al-Kamanjati Music School in Ramallah. And you know, a lot of our students, they expressed how they really appreciated having another identity, or an identity that's beyond only being, you know, an occupied Palestinian, where maybe they're a pianist, you know, they're a violinist, there are these sort of things. And so I guess my question for you is, do you ever feel that you want to just, you know, forget these struggles and have an escape, or what are your thoughts on that?
So I can't forget those struggles because I'm living in them, but I can, I can basically work for me in the future to just basically live a normal life like any person around this world, and for the next generation to not live the childhood that we're living right now. So that's what I can do. But I can't forget it because basically, even right now I'm in America, but every single time, like, I'm calling, did anybody get injured? Did anybody get arrested? Basically, you know, we're living, our souls are in Palestine, but our bodies are in America, so I can't forget about it.
I just want to comment on the question, Deir Hassana. Deir Hassana Deir means a monastery, Hassana. And Nabi Saleh is the name of a prophet.
Yeah, Prophet Saleh,
yes.
And because his grave is in Nabi Saleh.
Yes, and Nabi means prophet. That's the thing. When you mention Deir Hassana, it's also a name that relates to old Christianity. Now, I used to work in Betunia, in Kulliyat al-Muallimat, across from Nabi Saleh. I used to travel from Bethlehem, going all the way down to Wadi Nar, going all the way down. I spent 3 hours to get from my house to the job in the morning, and 3 hours to come back to teach 2 classes. I had an American passport. I could have done it in 20 minutes going through Bethlehem on the checkpoint and going through.
Yeah, the checkpoint next to Bethlehem is the hardest checkpoint I could ever imagine. You know, there's that whole thing right on top of the hill, and they just block the whole thing, and there's no other way to get out of there.
And the other thing going on across from that checkpoint right now, they are demolishing more than 10 buildings that contains 100 units in Wadi al-Hummus, which is in Bethlehem, and now they are adding a new crowd of refugees. They are trying to solve the problem. They are creating the problem every day.
Exactly, yeah.
We have 2 people up front.
Thank you, Janna. This is Al Museum of the Palestinian People. So thank you very much.
No problem.
For your. Before I ask my question, I think one thing that we owe you as grown-ups is to apologize for failing you kids, for you having to carry this. So this is the first thing we need to start with. What I want to add, because I'm a parent of a 13-year-old, and there's nothing that hurts more than to know that you cannot protect your own child. So this is something that we apologize, as the older generation, we apologize to you for having failed you. The question is, you've gone through a lot, and you've had some support and solidarity. What are things that have worked in ways that people have helped you really, and what are things that are not helping, so that tell us what are the things that are most useful to you there. Thank you.
Well, I believe any type of resistance helps. So I don't know what there is that doesn't help, because resistance doesn't mean demonstrating, but it means doing a lot of stuff like singing, also like singing, drawing, journalism. There are millions of ways of resistance, and just us existing in Palestine is also resistance. So basically, there are a lot of stuff you guys can do that works. Basically the best thing you guys can do is basically raising awareness about the Palestinian issue, and being the voice of those children that are just suffering every single day and getting killed and getting arrested or injured. So that's the best thing you guys can do. You guys can also support the educational fund for Shamsan. You guys can, what can you do? You guys can basically do a lot of stuff.
Can you tell us how to support the educational fund?
Huh?
Yes.
Change our government.
Change your government. Yeah, exactly. Don't vote for Trump next year.
Can you tell us how to support that educational fund, if there's a website or
There
where we
is
can go
actually,
to?
do we have the flyers? We don't have the flyers, but...
This is being filmed live on Code Pink's Facebook page, and we will put the website in
Or you
there
can find
in the
them,
comments.
Yeah, sure.
Or is
you
there
can
something
find
to
them
Google?
Yeah, or on Shamsan's page on Facebook, or on my page on Facebook. It's just everywhere,
Or go to your page on Facebook to find
You
it,
can
Janna.
go anywhere.
Hello, my name is Joe Milburn, and I'm a member of the Missouri chapter of American Muslims for Palestine. And a question I wanted to ask is that, within many Muslims who are activists, it's common that for some of their parents or the older generation to tell them to not get involved in activism, or particularly the younger generation, because it will quote unquote bring us trouble. Especially because we have surveillance from FBI among other areas of intelligence. Obviously, in Palestine and the West Bank, you guys have an even worse form of it there. And at least from what I've been told from my Palestinian friends, is that many Palestinian youth are shamed by members in the older generation to not get involved in activism because it'll quote unquote bring us trouble. In your case, you don't listen to that. Obviously, you're not apologetic about that. What keeps you and other Palestinian youth from not listening to that mindset?
Personally, I was born into an activist family, so my mom, my friends, my family, they all demonstrate with me. So that's a good thing for me. And if your parents told you to do something that you believe is not right, why to do it? So if you believe something is right, just supporting Palestine in any way is right for you, so do it. Just don't care about of course care about your parents, but if it's just not right to not care about your country. And I believe you guys know what's right and what's wrong, so you guys basically can also just getting involved in those stuff doesn't mean demonstrating, doesn't mean marching, doesn't mean you can sing for Palestine, you can draw for Palestine, you can dance for Palestine, you can do whatever. Resistance doesn't only it's not one way, but it's like a huge tree that has 1 million leaves on it, and just there are a lot of millions of ways that you guys can resist and can get involved in that issue without basically being in deeply in it, but you can guys be in it, and you have to be in it because we all have that responsibility of because children are basically just paying the price of war that they didn't cause, and it's all of our responsibilities to just let those children live in peace and freedom and justice, because I believe if freedom and justice is a right of any single child, it has to be for every single child around this world, and every single child around this world deserves to live a normal childhood and a normal life.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here. I'm also a Florida girl. I know you don't consider yourself American, but still. So my question is, when so many Palestinians are denied the right to return, how do you feel about non-Palestinians going to visit Palestine, getting to know Palestine? Do you think it's ethical? How do you feel about that?
I love when people come to Palestine. Of course, it's not offending like that. The Palestinian, like it's sad that the Palestinian refugees cannot come back to Palestine, but we're working on it, and it's one of like the main issues in Palestine. But also, we love if like anybody from from outside of Palestine come to Palestine and visit. And of course, you guys, our houses are open. You're welcome to Palestine. You're welcome to Nabi Saleh. And yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
I think we've got one back there.
Hi, Janna.
Hi.
I'm an activist, a Palestinian, by blood, and much like you, even though I was born and raised here, I still consider myself Palestinian, but I've been here my entire life. I've visited Palestine very often. I live in DC, and so there's a lot that goes on in the city that people can be a part of in order to advocate on behalf of Palestinians. So I urge a lot of you who are like DC residents who don't necessarily live in an area where you can vote on certain issues to actually just be very active in the DC scene, specifically with Occupation Free DC. The city of DC is, our mayor specifically is looking to do business and invest with a lot of Israeli firms, and this is something that we've been working to fight, and there is a meeting later this week if anyone's interested. You can find it on Facebook, but also our DC police train with Israeli police, much like other police around the country in Chicago and New York. And obviously we see a lot of the same tactics that are used against Palestinian children in Israel are also being taught to our police here and used against black children.
Most of the weapons are American weapons, and also one thing, America is trying to play the role of the mediator in the Palestinian-Israeli issue, but it's the Israeli's lawyer, so.
Right, so I wanted to get to the question, no worries, but so my question is, so I remember obviously when Ahad was arrested, there was a lot of, media coverage of it here in the United States, and a lot of black activist solidarity groups were hosting events talking about it and talking about the parallels between black children being attacked and killed by police in the US and obviously Palestinian children overseas. So my question to you is I know that obviously every day living overseas in Palestine, I have family there still, and they still struggle every day and they fight, and every day is a battle, but is the racial tension and the issue of black lives in America something that you guys are aware of and that you discuss? Because I know in Ferguson when it happened, there was a lot of solidarity between Palestine and Ferguson, and it's continued on since then every time there is a shooting, a killing, or any kind of clash.
Of course, because we can relate to those children who are getting killed our children are also getting killed every day. We can relate to those children. And I also believe that if you're against that, you need to be against the killing of the Palestinian children. If you're against the children in cages on the borders, you have to be against the Palestinian children who are being detained. So yeah, we're pretty aware of that issue because it's very important, and we're against racism, sexism, a lot of stuff. So yeah.
So let's take one more question and then we're going to close out.
When I relate to your situation here, one incident I witnessed myself on the Calandia going to Jerusalem from Albeirut is that there was a young Muslim guy and me standing here. They start to assault the Muslim young kid and beating him, and me standing up looking at him, and finally they said, "Oh yeah, you got a cross on you, you're Christian. You can sit on the side." That's the kind of hate they created between us for no reason whatsoever.
No, but okay, that happened. But right now, also, for us, especially the Palestinian children, we have a lot of Palestinian Christians and Palestinian Muslims and Palestinian, even Palestinian Jews. And we were living together before that occupation. And you know how the Israeli propaganda is trying to say, oh, that's a religious issue. It's against Muslims, which are Palestinians, and it's against Jews, which are Israelis. But that's pretty wrong, and our issue is against occupation, is against all of that hate and racism that is happening from the Israeli side, and we have an occupier and we have a victim, which are the Palestinian children. And of course we refuse to define ourselves as victims. We define ourselves as freedom fighters. So our issue is not a religious issue at all, but is a political, international, even not Palestinian nor Arab, but a political, international issue that needs to be, people need to be aware of.
Could you give us your view on Jared Kushner's peace plan? And what do you see in the future? Do you see a Palestinian state, a one democratic state?
Okay. The two-state solution is dead. We're at the borders of Israel. The West Bank is supposed to be Palestinian. 68% of the West Bank is illegal Israeli settlements. So we have the other option, which is the one-state solution. So the one-state solution, in my own personal perspective, can be a one-state solution for all of us can live together, but they need to remove that mentality of killing children, arresting children, and everything. They need to be peaceful. We all have to be under one government, having the same rights, no racism, no anything. We all, the refugees can come back to Palestine. A lot of people, we need to get our rights and just live like any normal human being in this world. So that's what I believe would be the thing that would happen. And even the two-state solution, bro, like Israel is just like against it. So, yeah.
So on that hopeful note, as we move towards equality and freedom for all, let's all give Janna a big hand.
Anybody who hasn't signed up on the sign-up sheet, could you raise your hand? It was going around.